Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. You're going to see a double header again. This time it's me. Yes, I've got two replays, both played by me and both in Arty. And it's basically an appropriate double header because they're about the same account actually, funnily enough. This is the Hummel, the Tier 6 German SPG. It's located on the North Spawn of Pearl River. And I'm actually in company with two VPs. Yes, you can see them there, and they're actually quite experienced players. But let's have a look and see how this battle plays out. Now you can see I've got the stock gun because it's a hell of a lot more accurate. It's got a faster reload time, and it also got a better trajectory. But you can see I moved back through the bushes for cover. Didn't want to go too far away from the cap area and knocked a bush over in the process. And that could have given away my position, which I wasn't too pleased about, but not a lot I could do. Once it's done, it's done. Now you can see I'm aiming for that pass, trying to hope to get somebody coming in, trying to get into the village, and a Hellcat turns up, and well, my aim wasn't perfect, so I was actually trying to get a shot in on him as he went through that gap, and I think I hit the building instead. And that Hellcat's definitely chasing the Type 64, but I think the Type 64 driver's a little bit better, and he gets a lot more luck, and he takes out the Hellcat. So that encounter has ended with a victory for us. Over here on the other side of the map though, on the west side, we notice this A46 making his way up, and it looks like he's rushing to try and get at our guys. And then we lose sight of him. And then this wheelie comes in, the AMD 178B. I'm trying to get a shot, trying to work out where he's headed. I see him go in that direction, fired around him, but it was just a little too long and actually exploded behind them harmlessly. If it hit both of them at the same time, I think it would have taken out the AMD and seriously damaged the A46. And M41A1's come to sight. And I think everyone realises that he's a major problem because he could have the 105mm gun. So we're all focused in that direction. You can see all three RT fire in. I actually do get a hit and knock off most of his hit points, or half of his hit points straight away. And there's the kill for one of the PPs. Okay, we've got a Cavalier there, and I can't tell if he's got the derp gun or not. I think he hasn't, but we'll treat him as if he has. Lining up another shot. Rounds out. There he goes. And that's a one-shot kill, I think. 220 hit points anyway, so he's out the game. Now I was expecting that A46 to actually make a quick move in the direction of the gap, but he didn't, and I suddenly noticed there was a huge force of enemy tanks over on the east side of the map, and well, this is just too interesting to avoid. And in fact, actually, when you get a huge number of tanks all grouped together, you know you're going to hit one and stun the other, and possibly get damage on two tanks at once. I got a direct hit on that steel potato, the BDR1B, which is actually quite a good tank, except for the fact that it doesn't really have great armor. It just has a great gun. I fire another round in, and again that hyper accurate 15cm howitzer, the gorilla gun, is actually very, very good at hitting targets like that, and I get another direct hit, so he's down to 54%. We've now got a Sherman Jumbo, and he's a major threat to our teammates because he's got that heavy armor on the front of his vehicle, so I want to try and put a one onto him. 189. I'm starting to rack up the damage, which is good. And I see that DSPZ go through the frame and think, shall I get a shot on him? I'm still not loaded. No, I said go back to the Sherman Jumbo. He's a much bigger threat in the long run. Little did I know that actually the DSPZ was the bigger threat. That was a bad shot. That actually hit the ridgeline. DSPZ is now taking advantage of the KV-1S and the BDR, and that's surprising because he's only got a 75mm gun. But you can see he does take apart that BDR, shoots up the KV-1S, and there goes the BDR. I'm trying to get a shot in on him. Unfortunately, all I managed to do is stun him. So we've got nobody protecting that alley at the moment, and at this point I think to myself, oh dear, we can't stay here because this is going to be a compromised area very shortly. Now you can see from the rear of the vehicle that I've actually got an ace tanker in this vehicle already. There are several marks around the vehicle because obviously I've got other awards as well. And yes, so I do know how to play the Hummel. And so I was moving to a new firing position so I could actually engage the enemy heavy tanks as they came in, but little did I think that this was going to happen next. Yep, M10 RBFM, and he's danger close. I've locked on, auto aim. I shotgun him at close range, and he makes the big mistake of coming in to try and finish me off, and I ram him to death. Yep, don't ever try to try and ram kill an Arty after he's whacked you for most of your hit points, because you will die and he won't, because basically I'm based on a medium tank and, well, he's just a very lightly armed tank destroyer. Well, he's out of the game now anyway, so I've got my second kill. M4A3E2, the Sherman Jumbo that we saw earlier. I get another big hit on him, 222. Got an OI. He's actually behind that bridge at the moment, so I can't really get an accurate shot on him. But I expect that he will try to come underneath the bridge. In fact, I think he'll go underneath on that side, because that cliff would actually give him protection. He'll be in defilade from the guys near the cap area. We do have a few AFKs near the cap, and, well, they are obviously a source of concern for that OI, because he thinks that if he does get shot by them, he probably doesn't even realise they're AFK. So he's staying in cover, but he's being shot on by the Type 64. Now he's being shot on by me as well. And there's another 174 hit points. Now I'm just over 1,000 hit points in total. Okay, the OI is tracked. He's stationary. He's doing what he can under the circumstances, but yeah, I'm afraid he's up against too many people firing at him at the same time, and there's no way he's going to escape from that. Rounds out, and there's the kill. So I've got my third kill, and now I'm going to go after that Sherman Jumbo. No, he doesn't want anything part of it. In fact, his team are now 5 tanks down, and he's just trying to get away, but he doesn't get away because the Type 64 finally gets him. That DSPZ we saw earlier, the good player, he's managed to go up the other end of the map, and lo and behold, we found one of the enemy Fifis. The DSPZ dies. I'm dialing in. Rounds out on the Fifi. Yep, 88 hit points. The shell landed the other side of him. If it landed on top of him, he wouldn't have survived it at all. He only had 18 hit points left at the end. And that just leaves one enemy remaining. The BDR-G1B, the steel potato, the one that we fired at earlier. And, well, he was last seen in this area. I fire around him, but doesn't appear to be anything. Oh, there he is. Okay, and he's making a run for it. And our guys are fairly close behind. As you know, the Type 64, the guy who was in the village, the guy who killed the Hellcat, he's chasing him. And that last shot that went in there took most of his hit points away. And I'm expecting the Type to see him any second. And there he is. And he gets the kill shot that finishes the game. So he got the first kill and he got the last kill. And here is the second battle. It's the M41 HMC, the Tier 5 American SPG. And I'm on the north spawn of Cliff. And this is the same account, although it's under a different name because I changed my name from Fixing Stupid to Bigger Stickers. Obviously the Monty Python joke. Well, I've got a 155mm howitzer and it's mounted on top of a Chaffee hull. As you can see, instead of moving behind the bushes at the back there, I've moved behind these bushes just over to one side. A little difficult to spot the shells coming from this direction. And the first thing I do, of course, when I'm on Cliff is aim for the hill, because there's always somebody who tries to go up the hill. And I'm dialing in as quickly as I can. This is only my second battle in this Arty. When I opened my new account on the NA server, I was given the choice of which Tier 6 vehicle I wanted to get free of charge without having to research it first. And of course I picked the M44, who wouldn't? But when I did that, I hadn't actually researched and obtained an M41 HMC. So I had to go back up the American line so I could actually get myself an M41. Because of course you can't reverse track from the M44. You have to work your way up. Well, I've noticed these two enemy tanks, and T-3485 there, and I just smacked him for a huge amount of hit points. 31% of his health went with that one shot alone, but it was a blind shot, so I don't know how much it hurt him. So maybe, the thing is, this is a fresh Arty, only just purchased. And he stops at that point. That was a very bad shot because I hadn't been fully dialed in. And I was just following him around. I thought that he was going to pull through that gap, and he didn't. He stopped on that rock. And I think he's now using that rock for cover. So I think he'll stay there for the meanwhile. And he proves me wrong by pulling back round the corner. Okay. Well, I'm loaded, ready to go, but I've got no target now. I can see that there's a Churchill 7 down in the Western Pass. Fire around in. Hits the front of him. Unfortunately, it does stun my teammate in the T150, but he's having a good go at that Churchill 7. And the T3485 came back, I'm afraid. There he is. The Churchill 7 killed the T150 anyway, but I'm now loading again. Now I can't see him, but I suspect that he's going to be on that corner, looking up at RT1 Heavy at the pass. And no, he's not there. He moved over. There he is. Okay, so I'm dialing in. Almost ready. Almost. That tower's going to get in the way. Rounds out. Lands in front of him for 101, but it tracks him and he attracts fire. And I'm picking up stun assist. And I think he's a one-shot now, so he won't last very long. Yeah, he's rushing for cover as quickly as he can. And now, unless he gets into cover, I'm probably going to pop him with the next round if he goes back to the same spot. No, he didn't. So I'm only guessing that he was actually going to go back to that spot. But anyway, I move around because the T14 actually made his way over to our side of the map, and he's trying to get at our guys, the KV2 and the T50. And there's also an M4A1 there, but I can one-shot the T14 with a near miss. Rounds out, and he's gone. Okay, M4A1's next. Marked him as target. He dies fairly promptly. In fact, the KV2 derps him. And there's another KV2 on the enemy team. And you can see he's in the derp coronavirus skin, because this was back when I was using rusty skins on a regular basis. Unfortunately, they were interfering with my tier 10 games, so that's why I took them out. But every time I was using the skins and I had rusty skins in place, whenever I selected a tier 10 RT, it would cause the game to crash. So eventually I had to take the skins away. But the rest of any other game, they're perfectly okay. I'm ready to shoot. Rounds out the KV2. Lands behind him. Stuns him. He's not a happy bunny. He's pulling back. I'm almost ready to shoot. 22.93 seconds, which is quite long, but it is with a rammer and a fairly good crew, albeit that this is their second game, so they don't have brothers in arms or anything like that yet. Oh, KV2 is trying to get a derp, and he does get the derp on the KV1. He sets him alight, but he manages to put the fire out in enough time. So I need to put a round into this KV1, and I do for 252. Unfortunately, I think our KV1 is obviously in trouble, but the good news is a KV2 and another KV1 have turned up, so I think that KV2... Oh! He dies! Oh my god, that is not good news, but the T50 is not going to take that line down. He knows the KV2 is in reload. There's no way he can carry on fighting, and my shot goes in, finishes him off, and that's my second kill. Okay, there's only 4 enemies left now. We've got a Nashorn, an M10 RBFM, and 2 RT, the Fifi and an AMX13 F3. There's the Nashorn. I'm almost loaded. I want my third kill. Rounds out. Here we go. Yep, no problem with that. Straight on target. He dies. I've got an AMX13 F3 running for the sniper nest, which is a very unusual place for an RT to go. And he's been tracked. And I think he's now very, very vulnerable. And I think he knows it. Yeah, he's a one-shot now. And there he goes. Okay, that just leaves the Fifi and the M10 RBFM. We don't know where they are. So I think some of the people are indicating that the M10 might be up in the sniper's nest. But I'm now going to counter battery. So I'm looking for the tracer. from the enemy Arty. Should give him away. I have a suspicion he's in this general direction. I could fire around in. I do fire around in there just in case he was in that area. And nope, didn't get any response. And there's the M10 up in the sniper's nest. He's running for cover, but he's now basically a one-shot, so he's not going to survive for very long either. And there you go. There's the kill on him. And that just leaves the Fifi, as we know, probably over in that direction, but... It's the T150. Oh, the T50's found him, and he was actually over the other side. And there you go. Now, it's going to take me a little while to dial in because the M41 HMC does not dial in quickly. The T50 is trying to come down the cliff edge.
That was close.
My round does go in and do 74 hit points, and the T50 gets the kill momentarily afterwards. So, 2 games, pretty good games. Let's have a look and see what the end of battle results were for both of them. Starting with the Hummel, we can see that that little encounter with an M10 RBFM, which ended up being fatal for him because, of course, he was rammed to death. He lost 241 hit points in total, but he was killed by ramming. And it turns out that I actually managed to get a Stark's medal. Only a second-class tanker, but the Stark's medal is pretty good, actually, because it means, well, I lost 2/3 of my hit points. I did. The M10 got me for 2 shots at least, and I managed to kill at least 2 enemy tanks and survive the battle. My win rate for the game was 3,505, which is not bad. It's okay. And if we look at the team score, we can see that, yes, I was second from the top in the team, and second highest damage overall. The T67 managed to get a Piscucci's and high caliber in that one. And I came second with 3 kills. These I could have platooned actually, and the Type 64 got 3 kills as well. He came just underneath me in damage. If we look at the detail report, we can see 16 shots fired, 9 direct hits, no penetrations but 12 splash, and decent amount of damage. I received 2 hits, both penetrations from the M10 RBFM, and 1 hit which came in from the enemy Arty, tried to get me, but he just failed to do so. I earned a nice 29,999 credits profit from that one, and I also took home 10,392 XP because it was a ×4 weekend and I completed a mission, so I picked up extra XP overall. So that's going to boost the crew. So not a bad game in the Hummel. Let's have a look at the results for the M41. Well, that was an ace tanker game, only on its 2nd game since I purchased it. As you can see, first time I managed to get the ace tanker. And I also picked up a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. Managed to get much more than that, 13 in total. And my win rate from this one, slightly lower, 2,773. But since this was a tier 5 Arty in a tier 6 game, and of course that it was only the 2nd game for this crew, 2nd battle since purchase, I think it's not a bad result, and I was very pleased with it. If we look at the team score, we can see I wasn't as high on this occasion. Note there was even enemy tanks managed to get more than me. The KV2 managed to get 1464. That puts me in 5th place overall. And when it came to kills, I was top with 3 kills in the game, which is surprising for an M41 HMC. I could have had more kills actually, if only it loaded faster. And on base XP, I was a little further down. 14 shots fired, 6 direct hits, 1 penetration, 11 splash, decent amount of damage, and again I managed to get 48,134 credits profit. That's decent profit as well for a tier 5, much more than I managed to get off the Hummel. 25 bonds for completing an achievement, a mission, and I also took home 3,316 experience points because I also got a personal reserve bonus in there as well. So 2 pretty good games actually, all in all. One in a tier 5 Arty, the other in a tier 6 Arty with a stock gun. And of course, the recommendation for you is, out of this one, to take out of this one, is just because you've got a new tank and it's straight out the box, you might say, doesn't necessarily mean you won't get an ace tanker in it. And the other thing to take away from it is what happened with the Hummel. If you get an enemy tank encounter like that and suddenly you find the enemy right in front of you, maintain your a very, very calm composure and aim at the guy, get an accurate shot on him, let him come towards you, and so that you can actually, if he's coming directly towards you, you're much more likely to hit him. But if you can get an accurate shot on the guy, and then if he keeps coming at you, ram kill him. Ram kill him. You'll probably take away most of his hit points with your Arty round, but you're very unlikely to come a cropper if you do hit him with a ram afterwards, because he's the one that's going to come off worse after it. You're a much bigger vehicle than him, so long as obviously it is a bigger vehicle, and you don't want to do that to a heavy tank if you can help it. But if it's a tank destroyer or a medium tank or a light tank, go for it. Just ram kill them, get them out of the way that way. I've had to do that several times in the past few days where I've been in Arty, had a close encounter, shotgunned the guy and then ram killed him afterwards, which is so funny because they just don't expect Arties to actually do that to them. But yeah, happened in this one. And of course, the other thing I might just all I suggest is, if you think your cap area is going to be compromised, do think about relocating, because if you can relocate to a position where you can keep covering the cap and helping your teammates, then you might be better off doing that, even if it means that you're going to be out of not shooting for a short while. Obviously, if I hadn't have relocated, that M10 RBFM would have come across all three Arty at the same time. And well, there would have been pandemonium because he would have been shooting at all three of us, and that would have been distracting us from shooting at the OI instead. But yeah, okay, good game, and it worked out okay in the end. Well, I hope you enjoyed these double-header games. I think they're actually quite interesting. You get a video which is actually slightly longer than usual. This one probably will be around the 30-minute mark. But I think there's a lot more in these double headers, and of course if it's the same person in both cases, it can actually show how much of an improvement they've got in their skill in the in-between period, because obviously there's a gap between these games. This one took place only today, and the M10 RBF, the M41 HMC game actually took place over a month ago. So yes, quite a big difference in time, but you can see that you can get good games which actually do make up a good video presentation. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like, and thank you very much indeed for watching.